Oh, hey, what's up, everybody? Just practicing some resistance drills to help me with my presentation. If you wanted to do something like that, it's just get you a fake little pistol and exercise band, and just it'll help you with your presentation, and also to help you manage recoil a little better. But that's not what I want to talk to you about today. What I want to talk to you about is I was recently reading a section in a book, and it was talking about this thing called bilateral symmetry. Now, bilateral symmetry is basically the scientific terminology for knee-jerk reaction. So, basically, bilateral symmetry is so say, for example, you're walking through the woods or anything like that. You're walking through a parking lot, you step in a pothole, you step on a rock, and you lose your footing. Now, bilateral symmetry will cause you to basically, the rest of your muscles to kind of tense up. So the reason why I'm talking about bilateral symmetry is because I'm tying that into basically trigger discipline. So I have noticed, training folks, that sometimes it's instinctual for people, especially when they first start shooting. They want to put their finger right on the trigger. It just slides right in there, and it just feels so natural just to put your finger right in the trigger well. So, but what I train people on, and what is drastically, and I can't express how important it is, to automatically, every time you pick up your gun, you can practice this at home. Grab your gun, and then you want your finger to automatically be drawn to the frame of your pistol outside of your trigger well, almost like a magnet to metal. You just want it to be drawn there. So every time you pick it up, it's got to go straight to the frame. Now, over time, this becomes, you get rid of the bad habit, and the new good habit becomes instinctual. So every time I grab a pistol, this is where my finger's just drawn. The reason why you want to do that is because of bilateral symmetry. So say you're hunting, you're walking through the woods, you're walking through a range, and you've got people in front of you. You've like family, friends, and especially if you're hunting, that's when I think a lot of accidents happen. Is you're hopped up on adrenaline, you're really not paying attention. You're walking through the woods looking for an animal, and say your trigger discipline sucks, and you're walking through, whether it be a rifle, a shotgun, or a pistol, and you've got somebody in front of you, and you end up slipping on a rock, stepping in a hole, tripping on a log or something, and then you point your pistol up, and bilateral symmetry kicks in, and you accidentally, boom, pull the trigger and shoot your buddy or family member in the back. I actually have a real life story about this. I was on a swamp buggy hunting with a guy, and he was driving, I was riding, and I'm sitting there, and I was looking around on the buggy, and I just kind of noticed the steering wheel, and it looked like a bullet hole in the steering wheel. So I asked the guy, I was like, "Hey, bro, is that a bullet hole in your steering wheel?" And he turned around, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you never believe what happened." He says, "I was taking this dude hunting, and we were hot on the trail of a hog, and the guy who was sitting basically the same spot I was, back and to the right, had what's called an MP5. So it's basically like a submachine gun that shoots 9mm bullets. Now, it was a civilian version, so you get one bullet with one trigger pull. It's not fully automatic. But regardless, they were hot on the trail of a hog. The guy wasn't paying attention. He had the gun sitting in his lap, finger on the trigger. The buggy hit a bump. He fired the MP5, and it shot the steering wheel while the guy was driving. Now, if he would have been maybe 2 to 4 inches to the left, he would have shot this guy in the back and possibly killed him. So that is a real story of why bilateral symmetry and trigger discipline is so important. So in the same aspect, I was reading in Romans chapter 8, and it talks about not living according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. So naturally, when we're born in this world, we're born into sinful nature. And the only way to combat sinful nature is by is with the Spirit. So you build your spirit up by spending time with God, reading His Word, meditating on it. When you do that, you're basically your spiritual trigger discipline gets your finger off the trigger and on the frame. Because when you're in the flesh, you know, especially if you got stuff going on in your life, really you don't really know how to combat that. So you're just ready to let somebody have it. You know, the first person that gets off on you, you just want to let them have it. But if you're in the Spirit, your finger comes off the trigger and it goes on the frame of your pistol. So let's, for example, say you're driving in traffic. A guy goes off on you, and maybe he's having a bad day. He had some horrible stuff happen to him, and he's got stuff and he doesn't know how to release it because he's not walking in the Spirit. Maybe he doesn't know how to. So accidentally something happened. Maybe you accidentally cut him off or something like that. So he pulls up next to you and just lets you have it. Every cuss word in the book, gives you the finger. Now, if you're walking in the Spirit, because you've been spending time with God and praying and reading His Word, your reaction now is not going to be the fleshly reaction. You're going to have a spiritual reaction, and you're going to want to. The Spirit of God is going to cause you to refrain from that. And instead of that, you tell the guy, "Hey, man, God bless you. I'm sorry. You have a great day. Jesus loves you, man." And I'm telling you, something like that, it could or it could not. You never know what that guy was going through in his life. Maybe he was headed home and he's decided to commit suicide. But your simple "God bless you, have a great day, Jesus loves you," has caused him to change lanes, has caused him to change his mind on that. And maybe he goes home and picks up the Word and reads and wants to know more about God and how he just experienced God through this person. So I encourage you today, folks, just spend time in the Word, to pray, build up your spirit, and get that finger off the trigger. So practice some spiritual trigger discipline, and don't let that fleshly bilateral symmetry catch you slipping. All right, so hope everybody has a great day, and yeah, read that Word, folks.